Hello and welcome back to another UCL fantasy video. Today we're taking a look at a wildcard guide for match day 6. We're going to have the likes of clean sheet odds, goal odds, we've got the best cheap players you can get, obviously a draft at the end, and we're also adding in the ball recoveries, so the best players for ball recoveries from the first 5 match days. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe as well if you are new, because we do wildcards every single match day, limitless guides every single match day, and of course team selection, which will be out tomorrow, so make sure you leave a like and subscribe. So let's jump straight into it. So we've only got 3 match days to go, and looking at the immediate fixtures, there is a lot more bad fixtures than there is good fixtures. So if you have been following the videos, whether it's been wildcards or just, team selections in general, or if you watched the original live stream when we did our planning, you will know that we've kind of filled a lot up on Barcelona and Dortmund. So I would imagine that if you are using a wildcard this week, it is because you do have Barca and Dortmund players. They do play each other in this match day. Dortmund being the home team, but alongside that there's also a lot of big teams and popular teams that do have difficult fixtures, the likes of Leverkusen. If you've got Grimaldo, Frimpong, Wirtz, they're playing against Inter, the only team in the competition who haven't yet conceded a goal. We've also got Man City in there if you maybe own Haaland or Foden or Vardiol, Lewis. Real Madrid obviously playing against Atalanta away. They do have to win that game though, because they are really in danger of going out. They're playing against Atalanta away is a pretty difficult one. Atalanta themselves obviously playing against Real Madrid, a pretty hard one as well. So a lot of common players are up against tough fixtures this week, so we are looking to wildcard obviously and switch that round for the last 3 game weeks. So for the best fixtures, it is Atletico, who probably on paper have the best fixture this week. They have Slovan Bratislava at home, and you definitely want to be trying to get at least one player in. The only problem with Atletico is they don't really have any obvious choices outside of Griezmann or Alvarez. There's not a lot of good picks. The likes of Oblak's a really nice one, but he's 6 million, which is very expensive for a goalkeeper. Milan have Red Star at home. Pulisic a very nice one, but he has picked up an injury over the weekend, and I believe he is ruled out for match day 6, which isn't ideal, but there's still a lot of good options for Milan. The likes of Reinders, Theo Hernandez a really nice one as well. Stuttgart, Young Boys at home, another really nice fixture. Couple of good picks in there. Milo's done really well. Mittelstadt is a really nice one. Nubel, a 4.5 million goalkeeper. For Feyenoord, you've got Sparta Prague at home, another nice one. Jimenez is back up front. He was very good in last year's UCL fantasy. He could be another nice option, but a lot of very good cheap picks as well. Hanko at 4.5, Malambo at 4.7. You can get away with some budget players for Feyenoord. Lille have Sturm Graz, potentially a good shout for someone like Jonathan David up front. And then Zagreb and Celtic both playing against each other. Obviously Nicholas Kuhn is someone I have been raving about since match day 1 after getting 2 goals and a 17-pointer against Leipzig. Still a really nice pick at 4.7 million. So looking at the remaining fixtures then, we have the 7 teams which I would look to try and focus on with decent fixtures on match day 6, 7 and 8. We've also got a couple extra ones over on the right hand side that are a little bit smaller that you can also take into consideration with your wildcard. But looking at our main teams, Arsenal, a really nice run. They've got Monaco at home, followed by Zagreb at home, followed by Girona away. So a really good chance to get in Arsenal players who have had pretty tough fixtures in the first couple of game weeks or first couple of match days. So a lot of us, again, using this wildcard this week probably don't have any Arsenal players, and it's a good time to get them in at this point. Bayern still with a really nice run. The likes of Kane, Musiala is now back. He's a really good pick. Kim in defence, done really well in match day 5. They've got Shakhtar away, Feyenoord away, and then they've got Slovan Bratislava at home in match day 8. So another really nice triple up that you want to be looking at. For Atletico, obviously they do have Bratislava at home, but they do run into Leverkusen in match day 7. What is still a home fixture, but it's definitely a difficult one before Salzburg away in match day 8. So definitely I think getting one Atletico player in is a good pick. I think if you run a limitless, that's where you obviously look for the triple up against Bratislava. But for us on a wild card, you maybe only want 1 or 2 because it is a difficult fixture in match day 7. For Liverpool, really nice fixture. The top of the table as well, the top of the table team, still really nice fixtures until match day 8. Girona away, Lille at home, PSV away. You would expect 3 more wins from that. So again, the likes of Mo Salah, who is in tip-top form right now, it's definitely going to be one of the first first names on the team sheet. For AC Milan, again, already mentioned them. They have a nice run with Red Star at home, Girona at home, and Zagreb away. Unfortunate that Pulisic is going to be out of matchday 6, but he should be back as a possible transfer in for 7 and 8. Celtic already mentioned as well, one of the best runs in the Champions League this season. Zagreb away, Young Boys at home in matchday 7, which is nice, and then a difficult one is Villa away in matchday 8. Then Stuttgart, Young Boys at home, Bratislava away, two really good fixtures, and then matchday 8 you probably want to look to transfer them out before they play PSG at home. And as I mentioned, there is still a couple of nice fixtures over on the right hand side. Sporting, who haven't actually been too great since Amarim has left. They've lost their last 3 matches, so definitely want to maybe reconsider if you're locking like a Gyökeres in, who was really good at the start of the first few match days. So these are our top 10 players for ball recoveries so far this season, and number 1 is definitely one that really does stand out to me, and that is William Pacho. Only 4.7 million for a PSG defender. He has 51 ball recoveries, which is almost 10 clear of number 2, which is Alexandro for Lille. Again, 2 really nice cheap defenders that you can get. Definitely looking at Pacho for my team on a wild card. Kim, already mentioned him, a pretty popular player, was really good for ball recoveries last year, continuing in that into this year. A little bit more expensive at 5 million, but you're getting a Bayern defender with a nice chance of clean sheets, who also gets ball recoveries and goals if you own them in match day 5. Otamendi, a nice one as well, and then it kind of gets to your more unknown players from smaller teams who are just picking up ball recoveries. We've got Bedu, Spajik, Rualt, Lukumi, Bondar, and then Darun from Atalanta. So any of these players are looking pretty decent for ball recoveries if you want to go for someone a little bit cheaper and you want to kind of guarantee yourself some points. Again, you want to take a look at the fixtures, and then you can take a look at ball recoveries if you want to look for some cheap defenders. So our cheap gems for this week, fairly similar to last week, as they are, similar fixture runs. It has only been 1 match day. So Mittelstadt still keeps his place. Still a really good pick. He didn't do too well in the last match day when we were expecting a clean sheet. But again, still a nice run for Stuttgart. Still a nice player to pick up. Israel, the Sporting goalkeeper, is only 4 million, the cheapest goalkeeper in the game. So even though, Sporting haven't been too great, not the absolute best for clean sheets or anything, you can't really go wrong with a 4 million starting goalkeeper, and they don't have too bad fixtures either. Timber, only 4.4 million, you're getting an Arsenal defender. The only problem with him is he is a little bit of a minutes risk. He isn't guaranteed, he isn't nailed to start, but he can play right along that back line. He can play left back like he did the weekend. He can play both centre back positions, and obviously he can play right back where he has tended to play for Arsenal. So has played the last few games, picked up a goal as well. We know he's a set piece threat where Arsenal really excel at. And for only 4.4 million, he's a pretty decent one. The only issue being you need him to start the next 3 matches for Arsenal, and I don't think that is guaranteed, but it's definitely a possibility, and you're saving $1 million on the likes of Saliba and Gabriel. So if you want to take that risk for 1.1 million extra, you're more than welcome to. Reinders and Kuhn, both in last week's cheap gem video, both really good picks still. Reinders obviously a little bit better now that Pulisic is out. You don't have to worry about him outperforming Pulisic. He's only 5.8 million. And he's one of the highest scoring midfielders in the game so far. Kuhn, obviously one of the cheapest midfielders in the game, rose to 4.7 from 4.5 in the last match day, and still a really nice pick with nice fixtures. Obviously Zagreb away, and then Young Boys at home in the next 2. And obviously Pacho, we have just mentioned, at 4.7 million, really nice player for ball recoveries. So you are pretty much guaranteeing yourself some points, even if PSG don't pick up a clean sheet. So taking a look at our clean sheet odds for this week, these are the defenders we want to try and be getting in for match day 6, and then obviously planning at least so they've got decent fixtures in 7 and 8. So it is 3 teams with the dark green odds this week above 50%, and that is Atletico Madrid, Bayern Munich and Milan. So again, with Atletico, a little bit difficult trying to pick a defender. Llorente has been performing well, but he could easily be benched for a Molina who plays at right wing back as well. So another minutes risk, but he is really good if he does play. For Bayern, obviously the likes of Kim, pretty much nailed on if you're wildcarding this week. I'd definitely be looking at him. Alphonso Davies has been ruled out of matchday 6 as well, so Guerrero could be a nice pick, but again, you're wanting him to start in the next 3 matches. For Milan, you've obviously got the likes of Theo Hernandez, who is pretty much going to be your choice there. Whether you want to double up on them all, I'm not really too sure. That's totally up to you, of course, but those would be my 3 main picks if you were going there. For Arsenal, 49%, likes of Timber, potentially Saliba. I don't know if Gabriel's going to be fit for matchday 6. Going to have to keep an eye on team news. Remember, make sure to follow me over on Twitter because we do all the team news that does come out before the deadline. For Leo, 42%. The likes of Alex Sandro, we just seen, was second, I believe, for ball recoveries. He could be a nice pick at 4.7 million. And then you get into your yellows and oranges there, so make the most of that if you will. For the most goals scored, over 2.5 goal odds. Again, thank you to FPL Reports. Their website does post all of this. We've got 3 more dark greens. Again, we've got Atletico, Bayern and Stuttgart this time, who do overtake Milan. So Atletico and Bayern are the top 2 for both clean sheet odds and 2.5 goal odds. So you're going to be wanting to get as many of those guys in for this week as possible. So, strikers wise, Griezmann, Alvarez, they're your top 2. The only issue with Griezmann, obviously, he was benched in the previous game. Alvarez and Griezmann are both, putting out similar outputs in the league. Griezmann does have the penalties though, which is where he is, a little bit more favoured than Alvarez, but Alvarez is obviously a little bit cheaper. So it's kind of whatever way you want to go. If you've got extra budget, go for Griezmann. If you don't have extra budget and you want to go, put that budget elsewhere, just go for Alvarez. Bayern, you're probably looking at Kane, Musiala, Kim. That's probably your triple up that you want to be aiming for. For Stuttgart, not really too many attackers that do pop out too much. Undav was someone in matchday 1 that we did like the look of for Stuttgart, but hasn't played in every single game. So he's not really, too reliable. Milo could be a decent midfield pick, but there is so many good midfielder picks available that I don't know if you want to be sticking a Stuttgart midfielder in one of those 5 slots. So Mittelstadt, he has attacking threat. He's probably the one you want to go for. Milan, again, Pulisic is out, so you're probably looking at Reinders, Theo Hernandez, potentially a Morata. He was benched for Tammy Abraham previously though. Maybe a Rafael Leao if you want to use a striker spot on him. And then for PSG, is a little bit more difficult as well. The likes of Bradley Barcola is probably the best one you want to go for. He's only 7 million. Dembele is out injured, I believe, or he's suspended. I can't remember which one it is, but Barcola is probably the one you want to go for. And other than that, not really too many options. Arsenal and Liverpool just miss out on the likes or on the 40% plus. Saka and Salah, really good picks still this week. So it just depends on what your budget's like. So with all that being said, obviously I'm using the wildcard chip this week, and this is the wildcard draft that I'm currently on. So a nice little, I think a nice mix of premiums and cheap players. A lot of my defence is more on the cheap side, so I can afford a lot of big premiums. We've got Israel and Nubel as our goalkeeper pairing. I mentioned them in matchday 5, in the previous matchday, that they were a nice little rotation. So I'm going for the Stuttgart goalie and the Sporting goalie. They work for me up until matchday 8. In defence, we've got the 3 biggest ball recovery defenders: Pacho, Alexandro, and Kim. Again, just kind of picking up some guaranteed points at this point. I've got Van Dijk in there for the clean sheets. Liverpool have been really solid. I'm tempted by Trent Alexander-Arnold, but Van Dijk has outscored him just because, Trent missed out in the previous game. So I could go for Trent, but right now I'm on Van Dijk. And then obviously Mittelstadt, one of my favourite defenders, up against young boys at home. So hopefully a clean sheet in there, which we were hoping for last week. I'm hoping the likes of, Young Boys and those kind of teams, Bratislava, are kind of done with the Champions League because they've got no points. I'm not really too sure, they're not really got anything to play for at that point. So hopefully, some of our bigger teams can run over them in the next few match days. Obviously, Alexandro, Kim, Pacho in there with nice fixtures as well, but in there for ball recoveries more specifically. In midfield, we have the 2 premiums in Salah and Saka. Both have good enough fixtures for me to want them, and they're in fantastic form. So it was pretty much, plan A was getting those guys in. I've got Elise in there with the have really liked to get Musiala, but I'm just not able to afford that. I've got 0.3 million in the bank with this draft, and I can't really find any downgrades. I think I can downgrade Van Dijk to a 4 million defender to get Musiala and over Elise. And at this point, I'm not really too sure if I want to do that. If I can get hopefully confirmation that Elise starts, then he'll probably stay there. But I would really like to get Musiala in because he is easily the best midfielder for Bayern. Kuhn's in here again going forward. He will be there till match day 8 probably. And then obviously Reinders, as I've spoke about already in this video, he's coming in at only 5.8 million. And up front, that allows me to get 2 premiums and Alvarez. So Alvarez is obviously the budget option to Antoine Griezmann. And then I've got Harry Kane, of course, for obvious reasons. And I've stuck in Vinicius Jr. as well. Obviously, Real Madrid need to start winning games. If anyone is going to be able to turn around, their current league position, it is going to be Real Madrid. Mbappe hasn't impressed me too much, and Vinicius Jr., despite having the injury flag beside him, has travelled for the game this week against Atalanta. So hopefully he plays. Again, just going to keep an eye out for team news, and hopefully he is going to be in the starting 11. And at that point, I'm happy enough to keep him in. So what does that mean for dates then? Well, on the 10th, on Tuesday, we do have Israel, not really going to include the goalkeeper. So we've got Kim, Pacho, Van Dijk, Kuhn, Olise, Salah, Vinny and Kane. So what's that? 8 players. So that's 9 on the Tuesday, and that leaves me with 6, I believe, on the Wednesday. That'll be Alvarez, Reinders, Saka, Alexandro, Mittelstadt, and Nubel. Yeah, so 6 on Wednesday and 9 on Tuesday, which is a pretty decent split. That means I only have 2 Wednesday players playing in the starting 11, which is I'm more than happy with. In terms of captaincy options, we've got loads of picks for Tuesday. Wednesday is where I'm lacking a little bit of quality. For Tuesday, it's probably going to be Salah as the captaincy against Girona away from home. Wednesday, it's pretty obvious that it's going to be Saka. But for other Wednesday players, I'm left with Alvarez, Reinders, Mittelstadt, Alexandro. So yeah, not really too bad. Obviously Tuesday is probably where the points are going to come from more than Wednesday, but we'll see. That is obviously just the draft. We'll have a team selection video out tomorrow, so make sure you keep an eye out on that. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe as well if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next one.